danger of focusing on the cone with the tendency of the storm to wobble. Could you address that a little bit more?
Yeah, look, I mean, so when we were doing Ian, if you remember that, Ian hit on a Wednesday afternoon. The Sunday we were here, and it was going to hit Cedar Key, right? It ended up doing an impact on Sanibel Island. That's where it impacted on Wednesday afternoon. So if it wobbles as it approaches Cuba, if it wobbles, that could take the whole track in a different direction. And so you're looking at really from Collier all the way up to Franklin. It is possible, I mean, if it wobbled west, then Collier would probably have more minimal impacts. If it wobbles east, then Collier would have more. Opposite for somebody like Franklin County. So people just need to be prepared. You should not be too wedded on this. And if you remember, I mean, we've had examples of major impacts outside the cone, even as it was going. Pensacola a few years ago, you said it wasn't even in the cone. Then the next morning, downtown Pensacola is underwater. So people should just understand that and understand that this is an important storm. Now, the models are much more in convergence on this one than on Ian. That is true. And so what the Hurricane Center does, what that cone really is it's just kind of like splits the difference amongst all the models. So with Ian, you had one model that had to go into the Panhandle. The rest were closer to the peninsula. And that caused it, I think, to be a little bit more northwest than it should have been. This one, though, most of them are converging on this. But we're going to know probably more over the next 12 hours on the track. Once it gets into the Gulf, it's kind of smooth sailing for this thing. I mean, it's likely to continue to gain intensification. We don't know how quickly it's going to go. I mean, it could potentially start moving quick. So there's a lot of things to be watching here, but just know if you're on that Gulf Coast, particularly if you're in the Barrier Islands, you are going to get some type of storm surge. I mean, there's just no question. And is it going to be Ian level if you're in Collier or Lee? Probably not. But is it going to be significant? I mean, if you're in Pinellas County or Pasco, could you have really, really significant storm surge and flooding? Absolutely. Could you have really significant storm surge in Levy and Dixie counties? Yes, no question about that. So just prepare for that. And that's the thing, when you look at these storms, yes, if you're outside when the wind's blowing 100 miles an hour, you could get hit with debris. That could be fatal. But most of the fatalities are with the storm surge. And so if you protect yourself from the storm surge by evacuating inland when you're told to do that, the chance of you suffering a major incident for yourself personally or your family's health and well-being goes down dramatically. Now, the property, we can rebuild someone's home. You can deal with the property damage. You can't unring the bell, though, if somebody stays in harm's way and does battle with Mother Nature. This is not something that you want to do battle with.